One of my favorite text messages that I have ever received was from a client that I was working with as they were going through this week's videos, as they were going through this information, learning these strategies, because they sent me this text and they were like, David, you're not gonna believe this. I literally was just dancing and crying, like crying physical tears of joy in my kitchen because I feel so free. I feel so happy and so excited about my future for the first time in so long. And I loved hearing this so much, first off, because that means they're transforming their lives. It means they're owning that power that they truly have to experience those most incredible emotions that before seemed like a dream, like a wish, like, oh, if someday I could maybe feel that way. And they actually had unlocked that power. But the other reason it was so good to hear is because it reminded me of when I was first changing my life. It reminded me of all those days and all those moments when I was feeling the most powerful, incredible emotions, where I was just in love with life, where I was just on fire. I was just literally like, I'm so grateful, or this is the greatest blessing ever, and I'm so confident in all these things that I was basically feeling for the first time, or the first time in so long, and it was like, dang, like what is this life? How is this so good? And another client that I was working with, that the same thing, as they were going through this week's videos, as they were learning these strategies, hey, the next time I talked to them on a call, they were like, David, it was crazy. I was going through the videos and I was really going all in, right? Really going for it. And I was physically shaking because I had so much excitement, so much power, so much like just all those amazing emotions, so much that they were literally shaking. And I was like, that's crazy. But that was a person that had struggled and told me and assured me that they had tried everything out there in order to have that life they wanted. And they were finally able to feel those emotions that were so impossible for them. So powerfully they were shaking. That is the power that is here. That is what you can actually accomplish. Because the thing that I'm going to teach you how to do, the thing that I was so blessed to discover how to do, is how to actually give life to all these emotions. Okay. Is how to actually give life to all the emotions, all the experiences, all the reality. Like now, instead of just choosing that to be your internal reality, choosing that as real, now we're actually going to learn how to create the experience so that you are getting your subconscious on board with what you are choosing to be real. Like that is the amazing thing here. So if you are so excited to be able to learn how you can actually, like you, I'm not talking to your friend, I'm talking to you, how you can have the power to create the emotion that you want in any moment, in every moment. And that doesn't mean your life's going to be perfect and you'll only perfectly have good emotions forevermore. No, but that means that even if you have a negative emotion, even if that anxiety or that shame really gets triggered, you can shift it and then you can change everything. And actually, 3 seconds later, or 2 minutes later, or 20 minutes later, 2 hours, whatever, you can transform your actual experience so that your subconscious is on board with what you want, and it is actually supporting and creating the emotional experience that you want as powerfully as you could ever hope for. So if that is the most exciting thing ever, if you're like, holy cow, by the end of this video, this information, you'll actually be able to do that. You will have that skill that you are now developing and mastering. If that is the most exciting thing ever to you, say yes. And if you are ready to go all in on this, like it actually can work, like it actually can change everything, like you have the power. And something I want to bring up from the very start is that this is just showing you how you can unlock the power that is inside of you, and in my belief, inside of God. The power isn't in the strategies, the power is in you. This is just showing you how you can awaken that power, how you can bring that power of actually giving life towards those things. Like that's why I call it giving life, is because you are taking the life that you have. Like there's a life force inside of you. There's a power source inside of you in your soul, and you are actually taking that and using it to give life to that thing, to give life to that belief, to give life to that emotion, to give life to that reality. So there's actually like your life force is actually connected with that thing, so it is real. You're actually taking like what is alive inside of you and bringing it towards that thing. So, being lovable is alive. I'm giving life to being lovable. I'm giving life to, I just love my kids forever and I always care for them. I'm just giving life So I'm so confident, I'm so free socially, and that's actually alive inside of me, right? You're making that thing not just a thought, not just a word, not just something you want, but you're actually making it alive inside of you. And that is why I call it giving life. So if this is like the best thing ever, something that you would not give up for millions and millions of dollars, this ability to actually create the emotion that you want in a way that empowers you. That's like, holy cow, like this, I can't even think of anything better in my life than being able to do this. And you are just so ready to unlock this power inside of you, then say yes and bring it in, because that's what we're about to do. And hopefully at this point, based on everything we've already learned, you're going into this like, yeah, this is just the logical next step. Like, this is just how it's going to be. Of course, like, let's do it. But if there's still any part of you that's like, what? I can actually do that? Like, that seems too good to be true. There's no way I can just create the emotion I want in any moment. Like, what? Like, no, that can't be. Then remember this. Like, we're always taught that emotion, yeah, it's just this thing. Like, I hated in school, in college when I was learning, and they kind of treated emotion like, oh, it's just kind of this thing that happens, and oh, maybe you have an imbalance, or maybe that's just how you are if you're just kind of broken, like your reuptake inhibitors just aren't working in the right way, or like, oh, it's just kind of this thing that's like, oh, we don't really understand it, and it's just kind of chemicals, and like, oh, what's happening, and no. Now you understand what creates emotion. Emotion is literally just a natural response, a natural reflection of what you are viewing as real in the moment, and what you are viewing as most real, as your most dominant reality inside of you, what you're taking in as real. And then the way that connects to meeting your needs, to your blueprints, that automatically just creates your emotion. That's just how it works, right? So in this video, it's not that we're going to be forcing emotions or needing emotions or getting emotions. No, that's never the right way to look at it. Really, it's as simple as we're just going to actually learn how to make something even more real. It's taking what you're choosing. Like, this is something, you got to take this in, take it in, write it down, star this. Make sure you always hold on to this, because if you don't, it will get rid of and negate all the power from all the strategies I'm about to teach you. Is that you've got to choose first. You've got to choose first. You've got to choose first. That's why we went over choice for so long in this program before we did anything with giving life and actually creating the emotion. Because you've got to choose first. If you just choose and actually choose, like we've established, if you actually decide this is my reality and what I want to view as real, it's automatically going to start creating the emotion, right? But the mistake that so many people make is I teach them these steps of how you can create the emotion, how you can do all these things, and because of that, they forget all about choice, and instead it's like, oh, I just need the emotion. I just want the emotion. I got to create the emotion, and then they start forcing, and I need the emotion, and they start proving and all of that. And like we've established, when you're needing an emotion or proving or forcing an emotion, that's actually just telling your brain, yes, there is a danger, and I have to have this protective thing of having this emotion. And all that's going to do is reinforce all your old patterns, your old convincing topics, which is going to cause all those negative emotions. Right? Like, that's just how it works. Because emotion and your emotional experience, because that is actually caused and created by your subconscious, because that is a subconscious thing that's just a natural reflection of what you're viewing as most real in the moment, then the times when I've gotten the most stuck emotionally in my life are the times when I've tried to force an emotion. When I've been like, I need this emotion, I've got to have this emotion. Oh, well, I'm only changing my brain if I'm feeling it, so I have to be feeling it. Because, again, when you're needing an emotion, I have to have this emotion, what are you viewing as real? What is your most dominant view of reality in that moment when you're needing that emotion? It's that, holy cow, I don't have this emotion, and I probably can't have it, and that's why I'm needing to force it. That's why I have to get it. And that if I don't have the emotion, it's going to be awful and dangerous, so that means this is something out of my control that I'm trying to force, and if it doesn't happen, it's going to be dangerous, and that's what you're viewing as real. So then when you treat it that way, or when I've treated it that way, right, I'll be like, I need this emotion, all that does is reinforce the old pattern, which causes more negative emotion, which then makes me even force and try to make that positive emotion happen more because I've been more stuck in the negative emotion. And then the more I force the positive emotion, the more it just reinforces the old pattern, and I keep reliving that negative emotion. So there's more negative emotion, then I force more, and then there's more negative emotion, I force more, and it just makes you stuck and stuck. There will be times when literally for like a whole day or a whole week or whatever, I'm just trying to somehow feel this thing, or I'm trying to somehow believe this thing in the lens of it's a feeling of certainty I have to get about this idea, right? So I need to feel, or I need to believe this thing. And then after like a whole week, I'll just be like, David, what are you doing? Like, who cares if I feel it? But I can feel it. That's possible. I can do that. Oh, so let's just step into it. Let's actually like select it. Let's actually choose first. And then let's just give life to it. And then boom, in like 5 seconds, I'm actually feeling all the emotion and all the belief that I want because I stopped trying to force or need or do anything with the emotion. Instead, I went back to choosing first and just selecting that as the reality I want to actually experience as real and as most real inside of me, which will then automatically cause my subconscious to get on board. So with giving life is really just choosing, but in even more depth. It's taking what you're choosing it and then making it even more real in your soul at a soul level. But ultimately then, the difference between giving life from choosing is saying no matter what's happening down here at a subconscious level, I'm going to decide this is real for me and that's what I want to be real. And I'm going to take mental action accordingly, right? Giving life is when you say, okay, I'm choosing this reality no matter what's happening down here, and then I'm going to give life to this reality so that I actually get all of these things to get on my level. Right? So I'm actually going to get my thoughts, my feelings. I'm actually going to get my subconscious on board with what I'm choosing. So it's how can I make this thing not only real at a soul level, but then how can I get it to be real at a subconscious level too? How can I make it real subconsciously? That is the goal here. And the cool thing with this is, like we talked about clear back at the beginning of the program, experiences are ultimately what rewire your subconscious and what rewire it in the most powerful way. So again, without choosing first, without making choice your whole goal of who cares about emotion, I just want to choose. Without doing that, you'll never have the empowering new experiences that you want. That's why choosing still has to be the number one main biggest goal. Giving life to it is just like the cherry on top. It's the frosting on the cake. It's just kind of like the bonus step, right? But the more that you can choose something so that then you give life to it and then you're able to really experience it, that's how you know your subconscious is on board. Because again, emotion's just a natural thing your subconscious does based on your view of reality, which means when you're feeling a new emotion, when you're actually feeling and having that new experience of like, wow, this is real, I can feel it, it's happening inside of me. That's when you know, oh, my subconscious is actually on board in this moment with what I'm choosing, with that reality that I want. That's why I'm feeling that emotion, is because my subconscious is on board now and it's creating the emotion I want to go with it. So when you have the emotion, when you create an emotional experience, that's how you know you are actually firing and wiring those circuits that you want to design your brain and your reality to be that way. So experiences are everything. Experience is the king of everything we're trying to do. And the thing that is like so relieving and so empowering and just like, dang, like it's that simple, everything I dream of, is that, like we talked about with choice, how the more you choose something, the better you'll get at choosing, and the more you'll be able to memorize it, and the more you'll be able to create it as real. When you choose and give life to something, so you choose it real at a soul level and then get it to be real at a subconscious level as well, that is really, the more you choose and give life, the better you'll get at it, and the more it will really be memorized, and the more it will really be created real externally. So here's the thing that I realized, and I remember when I realized this, I was like, just a world of possibility and a world of excitement. Because I realized that the only thing you've got to get out of this video, it's going to be long, it's going to have tons of information, strategies, and it's going to be powerful and transformative. The only thing you need to get out of it is the ability to create one new experience, one new emotion based on your choice and your giving life to it, not based on needing or getting or proving or anything externally. If you can just do that once, and not even a perfect emotion or a perfect, like the most powerful experience of my life. No, if you can even just go from like anxious to like kind of hopeful. Like if you can just change that much, your emotional experience, even just like a small change. If you can do that once, then you can do it twice. If you can do it twice, you can do it 3 times, and then 10 times, and then 50 times, and 1,000 times. And then all of a sudden, you're getting better and better at it. You're memorizing, and you're creating your life to be according to that thing. So then that's just who you are. So literally all you have to do is be able to create it once, and then you just keep doing it and keep feeding into it. So if you are excited to learn how to create an emotional experience once to then ultimately change everything in your life, then say yes. And if that is so like, holy cow, all I have to do is change my emotion one time and everything I dream of is on the other side of that ability, like, that is crazy. Let's do it, then say yes. Right? So, like, that's why experience is so awesome, because I'm sure if you look at your life, you will agree wholeheartedly with this. Is that you can think a thought 1,000 times. You can tell yourself something 1,000 times, right? I'm loved, I'm loved, I'm loved, I'm loved. And actually experiencing that just one time is going to actually be more powerful at shifting your reality, shifting how you view yourself, how you view your future, changing your patterns, changing everything in your life, giving you power. It's going to be way bigger for all of those things. Just actually experiencing it once compared to saying it 1,000 times. If you agree with that, you're like, yeah, actually that's facts, say yes. So that's the thing. We're going to learn how to create new experiences just once, to then do it over and over again, so that you have complete power over your life. So that yes, your emotions aren't perfect and they're not always exactly how you want, but you can ultimately create them to be the way you want, no matter what, on top of anything. And if you are so excited for that and so grateful that you're about to learn this, and you've already learned a lot of it, then say yes. Perfect. So the first big step we've got to go over with this. And this step, like this one thing, because there's like four main topics plus the fifth like ultimate concept that will give you all the power to create the emotions you want, right? The first one, and this one really is like, this could be the most important one too. Like it might be, right? This one is the difference, subconscious indication. It is the difference between, if you've spent a lot of time in the OCD community especially, or just traditional therapy, they really treat emotion like it's this just powerful thing that you just have to accept it. You just have to let it do its thing, because if you get on its bad side or if you try to fight it or go against it, it's just gonna fight back and it's just gonna make things worse. So you just have to like kind of bow to it and let it have control and do what it wants to you, because you can't mess with it. That'll just make things worse. Right? Or it's just kind of this confusing thing, I don't even know why it's happening. And so they preach and preach and preach acceptance, 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 just accept emotions. Which, yes, we don't want to fight against our emotions. We don't want to prove or need or force or fight. We've already been over that. But in the same way, you absolutely, like they teach, no, you can't try to get this emotion. You can't try to have confidence or have certainty or have all these emotions and experiences that you want. Because if you do that, all it's going to do is ruminate. And they teach anytime you're trying to have or that you want this awesome experience or emotion, that's a compulsion, that's ruminating, that's you proving. No, that's because they don't understand this. They don't understand a lot of things, but they don't understand this especially. So this is the difference between everything they say being true, that yeah, you're just a victim to your emotions and all yada yada, compared to you can actually create the emotions you dream of, so that you're also crying tears of joy in your kitchen or shaking because you're so empowered. Or just like me, even when you get rejected, you get that rejection text or that thing happens or gets triggered, you can automatically go to experiencing, like genuinely, your most dominant reality is you are feeling and experiencing that you're in love with life and you're confident and you're so loved and all your dreams are coming true. The difference between them being right, you're a victim, and all of those things really comes down to this one idea. So, in order to introduce this to you, an analogy that I'm going to use actually for like pretty much a lot of this, and especially these two things, is sales, like door-to-door sales, being a salesman. And you might be like, what the heck? How does that have anything to do with me having all the emotions I want? But the thing you've got to understand is that when it comes to emotion, your subconscious creates that, right? Based on what you're doing and your view of reality, your subconscious creates your emotion. And like we've talked about, you are not your subconscious. That's not you. It's a separate thing. It's just a biological process. It's just patterns memorized. It's just a thing happening. You are here at your higher narrative soul level, and it is just a thing happening separate from you. So when it comes to sales, in order to sell effectively, the whole point of sales is how can I move and persuade someone else's subconscious mind to get them to believe, think, feel, and then act according to how I want. Like, that's the whole point of sales, is I find something hopefully that's best for them to buy, and then I move their subconscious in a way that they believe, think, feel that, yeah, they want to buy, and then they buy. That's what sales is. Well, guess what? Because your subconscious is basically a separate person, it's not you, it's like a separate thing, then creating the emotion you want and the reality and changing your pattern, all that, it's all about how can you at a higher narrative soul level move and persuade and influence your own subconscious, which is as if a separate person, to get your own subconscious to believe and think and feel and behave the way you want it to, on board with what is best for you. Like, that's the whole goal. And that is why sales is pretty much the exact same as how you're going to sell to your own brain, how you're going to move your own brain, and not in like a cringe. A lot of people have a cringe stereotype towards sales because they imagine these people that are in your face and that are like not helping you and trying to take advantage of you. No, I'm talking about the true meaning of sales, which is basically, if I can see that something is best for someone, then how can I actually get them to also see and take it in that it's best for them so that they can take action accordingly. Same thing with your subconscious. How can you get your subconscious to actually see this belief, this feeling, this experience, this reality, this pattern is best for you? Let's get you on board with that, actually get you to be moved towards that reality. So now going back to subconscious indication. In order to introduce this to you, imagine I'm a door-to-door salesman, right? And imagine that I knock on your door. So you hear a knock on the door, knock, knock, knock. You come, you open the door, and as soon as you open it, I just start yelling at you. I'm like, buy my product, buy it right now, buy. What would you do? You wouldn't buy. You'd be like, what the heck? Like, get out of my face. Leave me alone. Go away. I will not buy your product. I will never buy your product. If you can see that that's true, say yes. So then what happened there? Because the thing I was consciously communicating was to buy my product. So how come it didn't get your subconscious to want to buy my product? How come that didn't work that way? That's the whole thing of subconscious indication, is that what we are trying to do, or the strategy we're trying to accomplish, or the message we're consciously trying to say doesn't necessarily match the message that is actually going through to your subconscious. That's why I call it subconscious indication, is because I might be saying one thing, but what am I actually indicating is the truth to your subconscious, right? It's the same way with your own actual subconscious. To give you the example of, have you ever done something similar to this? I have so many times where it's like, okay, I'm trying to be confident. I'm like, okay, I'm confident, I'm so confident. No, I am amazing. People love me because remember this reason and remember this, and oh, well, that's actually true. If you've communicated with your brain similarly to that, being totally honest, say yes, right? We all have. So what's the thing to realize here is that even if I'm consciously saying, I'm confident, I'm amazing, people love me for this reason, what is the actual message that is going to my subconscious? What am I actually indicating to be true to my subconscious? What am I actually communicating to be true when I say, I'm confident? The message that my subconscious is actually taking in, that is being indicated that this is reality, that it is now, like the actual message that it is taking in from what I'm saying is, wow, I must not be confident, and I must be super insecure, and I must have lots of reasons to be insecure, or else I wouldn't be this insecure. So holy cow, I'm just so insecure, and I'll probably never be confident, because that's why I'm forcing it so hard. The reason I'm forcing so hard and so desperate and trying to get it so much must mean that I don't have it. It must mean that it's not true. It must mean that it's not real, and that I don't believe that, and that that isn't my reality. And it must actually mean that the opposite is true. If I was actually confident, would I be going, I'm confident? No, I wouldn't, not even at all. It'd be completely different. So just like the salesman, if I yell in your face, the message you take is, I'm never buying. It's the same thing you do with your own brain. You say, I am in the right relationship. This is my dream relationship. What's that actually telling your brain? We must not be in the right relationship, and we must believe that we're not in the right relationship, or else why would we be trying to force and prove and like be yelling in our own face so much? Right? If you can see that that is true, and if you can see like, holy cow, that's what I've been doing this whole time, and that's why That's why it's not been working. Then say yes. So the mistake that happens here is we have this convincing topic, oh, I'm a horrible person, everyone's judging me. And then we communicate, no, I'm so loved, people love me, I'm good enough. But we communicate it in a way that's actually reinforcing that convincing topic. When I say, I'm so loved, I'm good enough, that's actually telling my brain, wow, yeah, you're right, subconscious. I am being judged, and people do hate me. That's why I'm so desperate to try to think and feel differently. So it reinforces that, and it just makes things worse. So that is why the OCD community preaches so much, accept the emotion, accept it. Never try to have or experience the emotion and belief you do want, because they don't understand this. They think the only way, because the natural way, like the natural way we do usually do it, is this way. So they think that every time you try to have an emotion you want, that means you're going to be communicating in this negative way that will actually make things worse. But it's not the wanting and creating and going after the emotions and beliefs you want that's the problem. That's not the problem at all. It's the way we are communicating it. It's the actual message we are telling our subconscious as we are trying to do that is the problem. So you can create, you can go for that emotion and belief. You can really want it and go for it all you want, as long as you do it in a way that's actually telling your subconscious that that's what you want it to do, and telling your subconscious to get on board with that. And that's what I'm going to teach you how to do. Right? So a couple points here just to really help you internalize this is the old saying, the classic saying, actions speak louder than words, could not be more true in this situation. Doesn't matter what words you're saying, oh, I'm loved, I'm loved, I'm loved. How are you actually treating it? It's not what are you trying to say or do or whatever. How are you actually treating it? Because how you treat it, it will become. If you treat you being loved as if it's this impossible thing that someday maybe I can have, then that's what it will become. If you treat it like it's real, then that's what it will become. As far as like becoming that way of how you're actually experiencing it, how you're actually viewing it to be real. Right? If I treat my relationship like it is my dream relationship, then that's how it will become for me. So how you treat something is how it will become. The mental actions you're taking of how you're actually treating this thing speaks so much louder than just the words you're saying of, oh, I'm trying to do this strategy. So the next big concept, next big point of how to give life to something that feeds right off of subconscious indication is transformational communication. Marissa Peer, she talks about the most important communication we can learn is how to communicate with our own brain. Because with transformational communication, it comes down to something we talked about forever, clear back at the beginning of the program, is our submodalities. That every experience we have, so think of like that most shameful moment or that most just discouraging, hopeless moment or the anxious moment or whatever, that we view it as just this huge monster. It's just this monster of an experience, and that's just how it is, and what's happening, and that's just real, and that's just it, and we view it as this huge, overwhelming, overpowering monster. But Tony Robbins, in his events, he will ask the crowd, like, okay, raise your hand if you're super depressed, just in life in general. And he'll pick on someone that raises their hand, and he'll be like, okay, I want you to go to a level 9 out of 10 depressed. And as they go to this 9 out of 10, he points out what they're doing to get there, right? This person is really good at being depressed because they are depressed all the time. They know exactly what to do to get to being a 9 out of 10 depressed. So as they're doing it, he'll point out, oh, see how their facial expressions like this, and they're kind of moving like this. And he'll be like, okay, what are you thinking right now to get to this 9 out of 10? And be like, I'm such a loser. What's wrong with me? And be like, how are you thinking it? I'm such a freaking loser. Like, what's wrong with me? And he'll point out all these things to basically show that it's not just that they are depressed. They are depression. No, it's that they are doing depression. They've just memorized all these submodalities. They've memorized all these ways of communicating with themselves, that when you take all these different things that they're communicating all together, that creates that monster, that creates that huge overall experience of I'm so depressed. And because they do that all the time and they memorize it, so automatically they just communicate with themselves that way all the time because they think that's just how it is. They think that's just the only way they can communicate. They don't even realize they can change their communication. They don't even realize that it is them communicating with themselves causing that experience. They just think that's just how life is, right? So because of that, and they just stay stuck and they're always experiencing that. But he shows them you're actually doing that thing. You're doing anxiety. You're doing shame. You're doing that based on all of the small little ways that you're communicating with your own subconscious that is then creating that overall experience. And the two huge, like super empowering takeaways from this is, one, your emotional experience is automatically determined by your subconscious based on your most dominant view of reality. Well, what determines your most dominant view of reality? Ultimately, what you are choosing, you want to be real, but then it's all about what you are communicating to be real. How you are communicating with yourself actually determines what you are viewing as real. If I communicate with myself in this way, then I'm going to actually view this thing as real. If I communicate with myself in this way, I'm going to view this thing as real. Even if actual facts of what's happening are the exact same, if I communicate completely different ways, I will be viewing things completely differently. If you can see that's true, say yes. And the kind of cool thing about this is your subconscious is used to automatically determining all your submodalities. It's used to it being the one in charge that automatically causes you to think this detail with this tone of voice and to have this facial expression, to breathe in this way, to do all these things that collectively create that experience. Your subconscious is used to determining those. So when you take the power back and you start consciously at a soul level, start choosing and changing those submodalities, all those specific things I'm going to teach you how to do, then your subconscious goes, oh, well, all my submodalities are usually determined by me, and they've all changed. It's all these different submodalities. I'm communicating in a totally different way. So your subconscious thinks that it is then a change from your subconscious causing all those different submodalities, which means it thinks that that must be real then because it's actually coming from your subconscious. Your subconscious, because here's actually a point to make with all of these things that we're learning, is when it comes to trying to believe or feel something new, the way that works, right? So if you want to believe, I will have the dream relationship I want, if that's the belief you want and the feeling you want to have of that reality. When you have that idea, you suggest that idea to your brain, right? Brain, this is what I'm thinking. Then your brain is going to take that idea, that thought, and it's going to compare it to everything it's memorized the most dominantly. And it's going to go, oh, well, actually, we've memorized all these other patterns about how we'll never be loved for this and this reason, and how we have to prove to ourselves with our convincing topic that we'll never be loved in all these ways. So we reject that idea. We reject that thing, get rid of it, and it will actually argue against you or fight against you to say, no, we don't believe that thing. Instead, we've got to believe these things. But if you can communicate all the different submodalities to really create this whole new experience, then your subconscious is going to go, wow, well, all our submodalities usually come from us, from the subconscious. So if we have all these different submodalities, then we must be believing something new. We must have a reason to believe this. And oh, this is actually something we can get on board with. This is something we can select the circuits that go with it. We can actually view this as real and then create the emotion accordingly. Because all these submodalities are saying that it's real, and usually we're the ones that determine those. So if those are supporting it, then we probably are supporting it as well. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, say yes. So just by changing your submodalities, by changing how you're communicating with yourself, choosing this is what I want to view as real, getting your soul on board, but then communicating in a way that you get your subconscious on board, that will just automatically, naturally change your emotional experience in a way that you don't need to force or prove or worry about it. So instead of being like, oh, I need to get something emotionally, I need to have this emotion, I need to do this with this emotion, instead you can put all of your focus, all your attention, all of your goal of what you want on what you're choosing, and then just how you're communicating. Because you can trust that if I choose this vision, if I choose this thing I want, and if I choose to communicate my submodalities according to that the way I want, then just naturally, I'm going to have that experience I want. Just naturally, I'm going to have all the belief, all the emotions, everything of my reality that goes with that thing I'm choosing and communicating. So now the whole goal, again, is something you have the power over. It's what am I choosing and what am I communicating? And the second huge empowering point with this is anytime you're feeling a negative, unwanted emotion, it's just because you're communicating and choosing that way. That's literally what it means. Like, it's an equation, right? If I'm at 3 and I want to get to 4, then I've got to add 1. That's just how it is. That's just how the equation goes. If I'm at 3 and I keep adding 7, then I'm going to keep getting to 10 instead of 4. So yeah, I'm not going to have what I want because I'm adding 7. instead of 1. So all I have to do is change that component, change that factor to a 1, and I'll get to 4. Does that make sense? Say yes. It's the same thing with this. If I keep having this negative emotion over and over and over again, then it's like, oh, well, what am I choosing? What am I communicating? Oh, and what am I communicating according to subconscious indication? Not what am I trying to communicate, what am I trying to say or do this strategy, but what am I actually communicating in a way that my subconscious will take it in. Then if you don't like the result, if you don't like the emotion, just change what you're choosing and change what you're communicating. And then everything will change, because that's just naturally how it goes. So it's not, oh, I'm feeling awful and I keep feeling awful, so this just doesn't work for me. I'm just broken. I just can't do this. I'm just stuck. No, it's like just actually change how you're communicating in a way that actually communicates what you want it to. And then everything will actually change. You'll have all the power you could dream of if you just change what you're choosing and how you're communicating. Like that is the whole point here. Right, so before we go into really how to communicate what you want, one point I just want to make with subconscious indication is the most simple, easy, yet profound, powerful way to do this. Like the thing I did probably the most out of any strategy I'm going to teach you with all of this. And the thing that's so simple, but if you only did this, if this is the only thing you did, like if you stopped the video in like 3 minutes after I teach you this, you could literally have all the power you want to change your brain all that you want to. Everything else is just like bonuses at that point. Is asking yourself the question, how does or how would it feel or be if that thing is actually true? Or if that thing, I could actually feel it? Or if I could actually believe that? If you want to view your relationship you're in right now as your dream relationship and all the love and excitement and everything you want it to be, if you just ask yourself the question, how would it feel if I was actually in my dream relationship? And then actually step into that and actually imagine that and actually go to that place and actually do that mental action of whatever answer your brain comes up with. Or how would it feel if I could actually believe that I'm in that relationship? Or how would it feel if I could feel that I was in that amazing relationship? Or what would it be like if I was in that dream relationship like I wanted to be? What would that be like in my life? Oh, it'd be like this and this and this. Great, then connect all of those, choose all of those, make all of those things real as if they're already real. Just like go to that place of whatever answer your brain comes up with, because that, whatever answer your brain comes up with when you say, if I actually, this is another one, if I actually knew that this was true, if I actually knew that so many people are loving me and wanting to be around me, if I actually knew that to be true, how would that feel like? Then you're going to get the answer of how you can communicate with yourself in a way that will actually get the result you want. You're basically saying, in order to get this result of 4, what would that be like? What would I be doing? How would I be communicating? What would things actually be like in order to have this as real? So that you find out what to do with the components, with the factors you're plugging into the equation to get that result, right? It's your brain telling you exactly what to do to actually have the life you want. Because going back to subconscious indication, if I was actually confident, I wouldn't be going, I'm confident, I'm confident, I'm confident. Instead, I can say, if I was actually confident and the most confident person ever, what would that be like? Or what would I be doing? Or how would I be communicating that? Oh, well, it'd be like this. I'd be like, dang, I'm confident what? I don't even care what confidence is. I just am amazing. I just am loved. I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm so loved. And I actually am loved. And dang, like, I don't even have to care about, like, my brain's been stressing about, am I confident? Am I good? Who cares about any of that? I'm just good. Life's just good. I can just actually go live the life I want because I actually am confident. Like, do you see the difference there? And then if you start acting and taking mental action and behaving and choosing all those things that your brain told you, that's how you then communicate in a way that actually causes your brain to view that thing as real, so that then it creates the emotion naturally. Because your brain, again, your subconscious works in equations. If you're communicating in a way that's not actually how you would be communicating if that result you wanted was real, then your brain's going to take that as the result you want's not real. So in order to get your brain to actually view the result you want as being real, then you've got to communicate in the way that would actually tell your brain that thing is real. It's that simple, right? So this is the goal. This is the one thing we are doing with everything else I'm going to teach you. This is literally just ways to like open your mind, to give you ideas, to show you how you can have more power, make it more real, do all of that. This is literally all just teaching you how to do this. And how to communicate according to this. That's it, right? So if you're excited to do this, then say yes. And right now, before we go into really how to do this or anything else, just pause the video here in a second and just actually ask yourself those questions. If the thing I wanted to believe, if I actually believed it, what would that be like? Or how would I be communicating? What would I be thinking? What would I be doing? How would I be feeling? What would that reality look like if I was actually believing that? Or if I actually knew that was true? If I actually felt it? Or if it actually is true? And then just actually go to that place. Take your brain to that place. Not forcing it, but just allowing your own subconscious to take you to the answers. Just play around with it. Have fun with it. Just go into it. Again, not, I have to make this work. But this is the answer to everything. Let's do it. Let's try it out. This is exciting. This is game changer. Let's go. So go ahead, pause the video, do that, come right back.